What's up guys, my name is Connie Joy and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you are not new here, welcome back. Before we even go on, make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. That way you can be informed every time that I upload a Liberated Femme video. If you're interested in my lifestyle vlog or my diet and fitness diaries, do not forget to subscribe as well because those videos both go up once a week too. And in today's video, we are starting the very first Liberated Femme video. So I'm going to start with my childhood because there are behaviors that I developed in my childhood that affected majority of the relationships that I have ever been in as a teenager and adult, both romantic and just friendships. And I realized that the behaviors that I was exhibiting were extensions from experiences from my childhood. It made sense to me. Basically, history kept on repeating itself. I kept on being in like the same situation over and over and over again. Between jobs, between relationships, between friendships, I was just constantly in like the same kind of nonsense. And I was like, well, it can't possibly be everybody else. When I realized it was me, it made me wonder like why? Like why am I always in these situations? When I started doing some research and I started to soul search, I realized it really did stem from my childhood, and as I explained to you guys what it was like, you'll understand why. Everything is on a subconscious level. So let's jump into the video. Let me begin by giving you guys a little bit of background, a little bit of personal background. My birth name is Connie Lynn Collins, and I was born February 11th in 1988 at 1:11 p.m. at Temple Hospital. I was premature. I was 4 pounds and 5 ounces and 21 inches long, and I was told that I was born addicted to crack. Both of my parents were drug addicts. From my knowledge, crack was their choice of drug, and my mom didn't stop doing drugs her entire pregnancy with me, so I was born addicted to crack and I was premature. Fast forward to my earliest childhood memory that I can really remember. Back to my very first subconscious memory as a child, I remember all of my childhood memories prior to being put in foster care with my foster mom who ended up adopting me. All the childhood memories prior to that were memories of sexual abuse. Every single foster home I'd ever been in, I was sexually abused by the father, by the brother, or by the sister. Even though I don't remember my life with my parents before they lost custody of me, I remember my life after they lost custody of me. I just felt like almost like an animal. Like I felt like a pet. Like I felt like I was on the level of a common dog in foster care. And I didn't speak when I wasn't spoken to. I tried to stay out of the way. I was very shy. I developed being very, very shy and being passive because I didn't want to draw any attention to myself at all. And because I felt like drawing attention to myself would lure abusers. So I tried to stay out of the way, but this is all subconscious, obviously. But in hindsight, an abuser, if you're there and a predator is around, it doesn't matter what you do. You are their prey. They will get you. And it was so normal. It was so normal. And I was in both Caucasian and African American foster homes. I witnessed sexual abuse and I was sexually abused, and I had no voice. And honestly, at the time, I didn't think that it was right. I knew it was wrong, but I felt like there was nothing that I could do about it because all the adults knew and no one cared. So as a child, I just felt hopeless. I felt helpless and I was helpless. Because of the abuse that I experienced and because of being pulled in and out of different foster homes back and forth, I developed codependency. It was basically what I felt like was a survival instinct. Codependency, it's an emotional and behavioral condition that affects an individual's ability to have a healthy, mutually satisfying relationship. It's also known as relationship addiction because people with codependency often form or maintain relationships that are one-sided, emotionally destructive, and or abusive. I had sisters who were also in the foster care system, and we were constantly separated. Once in a while, we might be grouped together in a foster home, but it wasn't a home where we were actually gonna be. It was like the people weren't looking to adopt, and it was like a pound. If somebody doesn't want you, they just send you back. And that's exactly what happened. If somebody didn't like you or they didn't want you, they send you back. If they felt like, if they did enough, sexual abuse to you, if you were too damaged, they would send you back. Subconsciously, I didn't believe, or I didn't know that if I did everything that I was asked to do and more, and I went over and beyond, that I would be protected, that I wouldn't be abused. I just didn't want to keep getting sent back to the foster agency and sent to other foster homes. So I became very, very devastatingly codependent because I was moved from one home to another over and over and over again. I didn't even realize the sexual abuse that I was going through that was being done to me. I didn't even realize that it was sexual abuse, and didn't realize the level of sexual abuse it was until I was an adult. So one of the foster homes that I was in, there was a mom, a dad, and a brother. This was a Caucasian family. Their son had to be about, I don't even know how old, but he was older than me. He was old enough to talk, put it this way, but we were both children. And I remember he said to me, I'll never forget, it was a fuchsia crayon. He told me to eat it or his parents would give me away. So I ate the crayon, and I remember it being really spicy and hot. And then he told me to perform oral sex on him, or he would tell his parents and they would give me away. And I did, and he peed all over me. And as graphic as that is, I just want to be very, very, very transparent with you guys. I learned that day that I had to do whatever I had to do in order to have a place to live. And I was desperate to have a place to live. I was desperate to be wanted and loved. And obviously as an adult, we know that if you submit to that kind of behavior, the person that's asking these kinds of things of you definitely does not love you. So whatever it is you're looking for, you're not gonna find it with that individual. But as a child, I internalized everything, and I was not thinking in my mind, hey, this is abuse. I was thinking, survive. I remember that they wouldn't really feed me. I remember in the middle of the night I used to sneak into the bathroom, and there was this Beauty and the Beast, it was like a mold, it was like a toy mold, and the inside was hollow. And I would take this toy and I would actually take it and put it in the toilet in the bathroom and get water, and I would drink out of the bathroom toilet because I was too little to reach the sink. I just remember how blue the water was. I thought that the more blue it was, the more thirst quenching it was going to be for me. That was because, you know those little tablets? Those little blue tablets that you dump inside the tank of the toilet to keep the toilet fresh, keep the water nice and clean, keep the toilet nice and it just keeps on like re-cleaning the toilet or whatever every time with every flush, keeps the toilet clean. That was what was inside the toilet that I was drinking from. And I would do that pretty much every single night, and because it was the only thing that I could access was water. Now I don't remember whether or not the father abused me in this home. I don't think he did. I don't remember, but the memories that I can't erase, like the ones that are like embedded in me that I can't get out of my mind, are the ones that I'm going to talk to you guys about, and that was one of them. And I remember I was in this foster home by myself. My sisters weren't with me, and just out of respect for my sisters, I'm not going to say their names in any of my videos, just because everyone's healing process is totally separate and different, and how we all were affected from my childhood are very different. Like, my story is my story, and theirs is theirs, and whenever they're ready, if they are ever ready to talk about it, that's up to them. I understand this is hard, and this is not a usual thing for people to be this open with, because unfortunately it seems like most of us don't heal from it because society looks at this kind of thing a certain way. For the greater majority of my life, I have prioritized other people's needs and thought of myself last. I have given people the last of a thing of what I own without a second thought, and there has never been a shortage of people willing to take advantage of codependency. Because of my codependency, I have attracted people that prey on individuals that are codependent. It's very, very relieving that I know where my codependency developed from and why. And I know that it's not my fault. I know that I was trying to replace love that I was entitled to from the day that I was born that I never got. And because I didn't get the love that I deserved, I ended up in places where I definitely was stripped from the love I deserve, from everything, from what I deserved as a human being. I feel like because of that, I literally feel like I feel like I was born a slave. Like, I'm dead serious. I feel like I was born a slave because of the fact that I ended up in this system. I can truly say that my codependency has been the cause of my downfall so many times. I can break the habit. In my future stories, I'm going to relate back to codependency because I'm going to show you the examples of how it influenced me in other relationships that I had. But after a few years of being in foster care, and we hadn't been adopted yet, so my parents always they always had visitation and whatnot. My parents never asked me anything about the foster homes that I was in. They didn't even ask me specific questions. Like, there are some parents who will pry, like they may lose custody of their kids or temporary custody or whatever, but they'll be asking their kids specific ass questions because they want to make sure that their child is in the best home. Because if they're not capable of taking care of their child, but they genuinely love their child and they want to get their shit together and get their kid back, they're going to make sure, they're going to basically be interrogating. Like the same way that some parents, some baby daddies, some baby moms, their kid will go to the other parent's house, and when the kid returns, the parent is interrogating, like, where did you go? What did you do? Who was he with? Who was she with? They want to know everything. That's what you do when you give a shit about your kids, or if you just want to be nosy. But in most cases, when you care about your child and you don't trust the place that your child's going to, and you're concerned for their well-being, you investigate the hell out of that stuff. My parents did not ask me any questions. They didn't ask me about their family. They didn't ask me if anyone was touching me, abusing me, talking to me any kind of way. It was like I literally was swept under the rug. I think I was so oblivious to life and to what was going on outside of the abuse, because the only thing that I can remember from my childhood, my earliest years, is sexual abuse, is being hungry, is being neglected and not feeling love. A lot of the pictures from my childhood are pictures of me at functions and activities from the foster care agencies. Later down the road, later in life, I didn't know that the reason I ended up in foster care with my sisters was because my parents were living in a dilapidated crack house, and my older sister, Carrie, who was 3 at the time, fell through the floor and passed away when she was 3 years old. That's how we ended up in the foster care system. So for most of my life, for most of my young life, when I was a child, I just kept thinking to myself, you know, at least, you know, God saved me and my sisters. Even though we lost one, at least he saved us. I always thought that to myself. I always thought that could have been us. That could have been me. That could have been. I thought that way because no one explained anything to me for me to understand what happened. Everything was survival mode. It does break my heart because when I think now about the kind of little girls that me and my sisters were in foster care, we were saints. We did everything you asked us to do. We went above and beyond. The kind of little girl that I went above and beyond. Like, I was so anxious and insecure because I was being constantly moved. I wanted to be the savior of every family that we came to. I wanted to be the savior because I wanted to not be abused, and I wanted a home I could stay in. I didn't want to be back and forth. I just felt like at that time, in like my child mind, I didn't know what the outcome was going to be with the family that I was currently in, or the next family I was in. I just wanted it to be the last family that I had to, you know, that I was in. I didn't want to be moved again. There was no promise that I wasn't going to be abused. There was no promise that I wasn't going to be neglected. But as long as I knew that I could have a bed here every single night, that would have been satisfying to me. The kind of things that me and my sister said yes to as children, it breaks my heart because we were really bent over backwards. People like really took advantage of us because they knew that they could. And it's so sad because we were children and all we wanted was to be loved. Like that's all we wanted was to be loved. It disgusts me and turns my stomach, and I haven't ever spoken about this in this kind of detail ever. And when I talk about it, it just makes me think to myself, like, I can't even believe that shit happened to me. It's just sick. It really is sick. There are some sick and fucked up people in the world. I was rejected. I was shut out. I was only requested for abuse. And I was basically just every family's trash can for them to dump their should into, whether it was their problems, whether I was there for financial gain. It's not really sick, but it's true. It's very, very true, and I've got more than one story to tell you about regarding this. But a lot of the times I felt like, now as an adult looking back, I felt like I was there to feed a predator, so he wouldn't have to be unleashed on the public. You'd be surprised how many fucking predators there really are. I mean, like, there are predators in these fancy houses with picket fences and in-ground swimming pools that make 6 figures. There are predators all over the place, and they dress in all different kinds of clothing, and they have all different kinds of letters behind their name, and they've got different kinds of plaques and credentials, and they're predators. And I know this from experience. I feel like people that have been abused have a radar. So I can sense a predator no matter what his age is. I can sense a predator. And even if it's a female too, I can sense a predator, because I've been the prey so many times. I know it's a radar. I can't even explain it. I know their behaviors and mannerisms. I know the way they look at you. I know the way they talk to you. I know everything. Like it's like a shark smelling blood in the ocean. I think they can smell it like 50 miles away or something like that, or 50 feet away, some shit like that. I can smell a predator. Basically, your chances of being abused, sexually abused, after the first time you've been sexually abused multiplies significantly. So the fact that it multiplies is because you develop behaviors. You develop behaviors from this abuse, trying to cope and develop from this abuse if you're not actually getting the help you need, getting the therapy you need, getting the understanding that you desperately need after an experience like this. I just always felt like there has to be something better. There has to be somebody out there that loves me. Somebody. Like, all the people in this world, there's gotta be somebody. I mean, everything that I've ever done, I've always been working for love. I've literally been working for love. I'm just like, if I do this and I do that and do this, maybe they'll love me. If I do this and do that and do this, maybe they'll love me, maybe they'll want me, maybe they'll keep me right. I have always done everything because I wanted love in exchange. So anyway, if you're a codependent person, try to find out first why you're codependent, where it stems from. And when you do figure it out, understand that it's not your fault. It's something that was done to you and you're reacting to it. It's like having an allergic reaction to something, only you do it for like the rest of your life until you realize why you're doing it. Once you realize why you do it, you'll have a better understanding, and then you can begin healing. When I feel the need to be codependent the most is when my inner child is triggered, and that trigger comes from rejection. When I feel like I'm not getting my needs met, I feel like I'm being ignored, I feel like I'm just not getting the attention that I deserve, but I'm putting out that much attention, my inner child is triggered, and she becomes very afraid and insecure. And because growing up I was always tossed in and out of different foster homes, I was trying to replace not just one parent but 2 parents, because both of the parents behaved the same exact way in my case. So I was trying to replace those 2 parents. With every set of families that I let down, where I wasn't good enough to stay and be adopted, they were just basically in the bandwagon with my parents of the people that I had disappointed at a young age as a child. So as a reflection, I have to deal with this shit on my terms, because if I don't, it's going to come and haunt me. And although I can't change what happened to me, I can encourage someone that it has happened to. So I'm gonna wrap up this video with that.